websites and all kinds of things to be closed down by the regime. Opposition voices are being suppressed, and just recently the government said it had the right to cancel the pensions of dissident voices in the community. I think even former General Rambuka was affected by that. What we need is dialogue, not only from New Zealand, but together with the Pacific Island Forum, the EU, the United Nations, etc., all combining to put pressure on the regime to return the country to democracy, to democratic elections. Sanctions are part of this, although of course they have to be finely targeted to affect members of the regimes, and it is good that over the last couple of years we haven't had the cases of sort of scouts coming here being affected and things like that. They should be focused on the members of the regime, not necessarily their families. And if we do combine with the international community, we can make some progress. Thank you.
The Honourable Heather Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The ACT Party is also supportive of the ministerial statement made by the Foreign Affairs Minister. ACT does support the recent developments and finds it very encouraging that talks have been re-established and that a head of mission is being re-established. The return to democracy, of course, is absolutely crucial in Fiji, but the way that we go about that as a country is very important. Not having a head of mission is certainly not productive. In fact, it's counterproductive. And the proposal of having a trade commissioner in Fiji is also a step in the right direction and a productive move. Isolation, Mr. Speaker, is not the answer to Fiji's problems. Certainly not a path that the ACT Party believes New Zealand should go down, and so the recent developments in re-establishing talks is certainly very encouraging. We should remember that governments can do all sorts of things, but the people who suffer as a result of those decisions most are the Fijian people themselves, and we should be very mindful of the fact that the economy suffers and the people themselves suffer when dialogue ceases. New Zealand has a very long history with Fiji, and that too shouldn't be forgotten when we look at the Fijian situation at present. New Zealand, of course, at one stage had an Air Force base in Fiji. We have long served in UN missions with the Fijians, and of course have a long history also of fighting side by side with Fijian troops, particularly in world wars. Relationships, Mr. Speaker, are crucial. We must keep the dialogue open to negotiate the challenges that the Foreign Affairs Minister spoke of, and we look forward to seeing further progress in this light. Thank you.
The Honourable Dr. Peter Sharples.
Tēnā koe te rangatira te kai whakawao te whare nei, tēnā tātou e hui mai nei tēnei rangi. Ana tai tu reiti au, kāru e runga tuki te kaupapa e haere nei, engari te whakarunga, kai te mōhio kai he e tuana te iwi Māori. Nā reira, kāre mātau e mōhio ana, ka tū tēnei kaupapa hei pau herenga kōrero mō tātou i tēnei rangi. E rangi kei konei ngā whakaro o mātou, tō mātou pāti nei. Kei te tautoko mātou, kia whakaarahi anō te huarahi, kia taia e tātou ki te kōrero kia rātou o hiti. Kia kōrero ngā kōrero, kia noho tahi, kia kimihi e huhurahi, kia noho ātāhua, kia noho paiai ngā iwi whānui o hiti. Nā reira tēnei mātou o te Pāti Māori nei e tautoko ana tēnā kaupapa. Kei a mātou huki te tono o ngā iwi Māori kia haere rātou ki reira kōrero ai. Kei reira e tārewa tonu tēnā kaupapa i mua te aroaro te kāwanatanga. Kei te reri te ngā iwi, ngā manukura o ngā iwi Māori ki te haere ki reira ki te kōrero tahi i a rātou huki ngā tangata i reira. Engari ka tika tēnā kōrero, kei te pai ki a mātou, kia whakaarahi anō, kia whakatū anō o ngā kōrero, kia kimihia te huarahi, kia noho ātāhua, kia noho pai ai ngā tangata o hiti. Huki au ki tēnā whakatauki nui a te iwi Māori. He hata me nui o ngā mea katoa, mā koe ki atu he tangata, he tangata, kia ora tātou.
The Honourable Peter Dunn.
Mr Speaker, I want to join with others who have expressed general support for the position that the Minister of Foreign Affairs has outlined with respect to New Zealand's developing relations with Fiji. Clearly, the position since 2006 has developed into a stalemate. We cannot go on with this frequent mutual expulsion of High Commissioners and diplomatic representatives and expect that that of itself is going to lead to progress. So I welcome the initiative that the Minister has indicated in the House today. I also want to pick up what I thought was the thrust of comments being made by the previous speaker in terms of the people-to-people relationship. I think that one of the difficulties that there has been in this issue as it has unfolded over the last 3 years, particularly from the point of view of listening to some of the Fijian communities in New Zealand, is that there was not a great deal of love for the regime that preceded the current regime, that the level of democracy that was perceived to be apparent in Fiji was not in fact all that real, that there were significant issues relating to corruption and other activities that people felt that the new regime, the interim regime, was at least attempting to resolve. So it seems to me, sir, that in terms of the pathway forward, the rather cautious approach that the Minister has outlined is correct, that it will allow time for some of these matters to be discussed and debated and solutions arrived at them which derive from the Fijian people but which are not imposed from outside. So I want to acknowledge my support certainly for the steps that the Minister has taken. I think they are prudent. I think that the discussions with his Australian colleague are also timely and prudent. And it may well be that if there is a discussion with the Commodore in Hong Kong in the next month or so, in the vein that he has described, then that will also lead to more progress. I think this is a good step forward.
Are there any petitions?
The petition of Laura McCarthy requesting that the House note that 66 people signed a petition calling for the Holidays Act 2003 to be reviewed to allow public holidays that fall on a weekend to be observed on the following Monday.
Are there any papers?
2009 annual reports from the Government Communications Security Bureau and the New Zealand Security Intelligence Service.
Those papers are published under the authority of the House. Are there any select committee reports?
Reports of the Commerce Committee on the 2008-9 financial reviews of the Accounting Standards Review Board and Transpower New Zealand Limited. Report of the Foreign Affairs, Defence and Trade Committee on the petition of Shania Ulanko and 99 others. Report of the Local Government and Environment Committee on the petitions of Penelope Mary Bright and 224 others. Report of the Primary Production Committee on the Dairy Industry Restructuring Raw Milk Pricing Methods Bill. Report of the Transport and Industrial Relations Committee on the petition of the Honourable Phil Goff.
The bill is set down for second reading. Are there any bills for introduction?
Copyright Infringing File Sharing Amendment Bill introduction. Employment Relations Workers' Secret Ballot for Strikes Amendment Bill introduction. Smart Meters Consumer Choice Bill introduction. Minimum Wage Mitigation of Youth Unemployment Amendment Bill introduction.
Those bills are set down for first reading. The House now comes to questions for oral answer.